Hey.
Hey, Lorna.
We give it a couple of minutes for people. I don't know how to, I don't know if I can turn on your audio or not. No idea.
Yeah, we'll just get everybody to mute.
I can't hear you.
Oh.
Oh, hold on. Okay, talk again. Sorry.
Talk, babe.
I can hear you now. That wasn't in my
Okay, that's good.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Hold on one sec. Give me 1 sec.
Qué padre. Qué padre, qué bueno. Qué bueno, gente, son situaciones que pueden convertirse en incómodas, pero qué bueno.
2, 1, 4, 6. Okay. Will you guys let me know when you want me to start?
I think that if we just press record and we'll let you get started, and then that way we're honoring everybody who showed up on time.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Shanti.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Shanti. It's lovely to meet you guys. Some of you have never. Go ahead.
Did you press record?
I'm not recording it. Tessa is. It says on there that it's recording.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I'm Tessa's daughter, and I pressed record, so I'm recording y'all's thing.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, I work for Globe Aware. My name's Shanti, and Globe Aware is an organization that has been around since 2000. We have been very successful in running short-term volunteer programs in 17 different countries. We've done it for a long time. That is our core competency. We send volunteers to areas where we are needed. And what we actually do in each location changes depending on the needs of the community. So, for example, in Thailand, we work with elephant sustainability. In Cambodia, we assemble and distribute wheelchairs for landmine victims and victims of debilitating diseases. I mean, it changes depending on where you go. So there's quite a lot of variety in what we do. The reason why we do that is because it is very important to us for it to be something that's important to the community, something that is needed by the community, and that the community asks us to do. We get a lot of requests from all over the world for us to send volunteers to projects. We get this from a lot of countries. Unfortunately, part of my job is to screen that, which is a terrible thing to do because obviously you would like to help everyone. But it's also part of my job to say yes. So when we set up a project, we put a lot of thought into it. We select our communities based on a number of factors, the level of need, what type of project we're going to do. But we have two missions as an organization. One of them is certainly the sustainability aspect. Sustainability is incredibly important to us. Every single one of the activities that we engage in during our projects is geared towards one of these two goals, which is sustainability, and the other one is cultural awareness. So we will do, the projects that we engage in must be projects that are sustainable. When I say sustainable, we don't really, I mean, everybody's heard this, it's not, we don't give people fish, we teach them to fish. It's basically it. So we enable things. We have a lot of people that come to us and say, well, you know, I have this great business idea that I'd like to take off, and it's a very small community. And a single mom in Costa Rica, for example, came to us a few years ago and said, I really would like to set up my own pizza restaurant. And she had the place where she wanted to do it. And so we went in and we built an oven for her, but she didn't have the money to do it. So our projects are helping those things come to fruition so that people can sustain themselves. So that being said, our project not only will incorporate building houses. We already had a project in Mexico, which is something that is very serendipitous. Honestly, I don't think that we could have had a response as quickly as we had it. I mean, it's been barely a week since the earthquake happened, and I think in that week we've just strides. I mean, it's incredible. A little bit over a week. I do want to tell you, I have a very personal connection to this project because I was born and raised in Mexico. So, and I've lived in Dallas. Our headquarters is based in Dallas, but we are a U.S. and Canadian organization. So I do want to make sure that is also be made clear, because any type of contribution that is given to Globe Aware is tax deductible as a charitable contribution in Canada and in the U.S. So that is something that's pretty important. We're also not a private foundation. We're a public charity. The biggest and most, for those of you that are not nonprofit world, it's the biggest difference between a private foundation and a public charity is the level of scrutiny that we go through, with authorities. So we do have a big, transparency. We have to have it by law. We have it by conviction, but because obviously we're required to present all of our financials every year to the government, and it's a public charity. So that really, and by law, by the way, we're not allowed to keep any of the money. We're obviously, anything that comes into, because we're a nonprofit organization, has to leave our accounts. Everywhere leaves our accounts. It doesn't stay here. So the humongous part of the contribution goes to, now there's always overhead, obviously, because we do have an office. We do have to pay for a website. We do have to pay, all of that. But because our main operation is in the country and not in Dallas, my office in itself is very small. There's only a handful of us that work there, but our operation is mainly in the field. So that means the money goes to those countries. So particularly for this fund, 92% of your contributions go directly into projects, into buying materials for the projects. I really want to make that very, very clear. There's a lot of instances where, there's administrative costs and there's this and there's that. Really, the 8% that we take out is not even taken out by us. We get a slash from the credit card companies every time we get any type of contribution. So it's not even the entirety of the money that comes to us. And then on top of that, we have to pay a fee to wire transfer money out of the United States into a foreign-based account. So that's where that is going. And the reason is for the fund particularly, but because fundraising is not our core competency. Our core competency is the groups of volunteers. So let me describe a little bit about what we normally do, and I'll tell you how this all came about. So what we normally do is we mobilize groups of volunteers. Volunteers pay a fee, and they pay a tax-deductible contribution. It's a program fee that basically pays for their expenses while they're in country and a contribution towards the project. So that means we are self-sustainable. We do not depend on outside donations in order to continue our projects. We have people that come to us, corporation, schools, and we have that because we've done this for so long, and we've also got a certain level of. I really hate to toot our own horn here, but we're pretty prestigious. It's we're in special consultative status with the United Nations Social and Economic Council, for example, We're founding members of the IVPA, which is the International Volunteer Programs Association. Our executive director sits on their board as their president right now. And this is kind of like the Better Business Bureau of volunteering programs, of international volunteering programs. That's the IVPA. We administer the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. We've done that for 15 years. There's a lot of prestige with the organization. So companies, very large companies, schools, universities, send regularly volunteers into our programs to go into these countries and volunteer short term. Now, the reason why these programs have to exist is most people that want to volunteer and would like to do it abroad don't have the capability of giving up 2 years of their lives to go into the Peace Corps. You can do, you have a limited vacation time because you have a life, but you still like to go help. So it becomes a tax deductible, quote unquote, vacation, because you're traveling to a country and you're giving your time and your energy to help, but also you're funding the projects with your contribution. So that's why it's self-funded. That being said, we added this fund. We don't normally depend on funds, but we added this fund to this particular project because we saw such a huge need to do this and to do this quickly. We do not want the community to wait for us to send groups of volunteers. We don't want that. We want the money to go straight there. So when we don't have volunteers, the money's still flowing that way. And so because I don't have expenses, I don't have to, it's all going to paying for the materials. We don't have any other expenses. It's just transferring money. That's all it is on the fund. On the volunteer aspect, yes, there's expenses, and that's a different subject. But they support each other, is those two initiatives, which is great. Another thing is when we commit to a community, we commit to a community for the long term. We've had communities we've been working for 10 years. And ideally, I would love if a community would come to me and say, we no longer need your help. That would be the ideal. And in a perfect world, that would happen. Of course, that's the goal. Hopefully we get there. And, but there's always someone that needs. That's just always the case. So what we're trying to do, and what happened is, in this particular case, is that we already had a program set up in Mexico. Back in May, we went with a large group of people. It was a bank from New York, and we built a beautiful, gorgeous playground for a large group of kids in a marginalized zone of Tepoztlán, Morelos. Tepoztlán, Morelos is one of the areas that was affected. It's one of the larger towns that was affected by this earthquake, but we already had people on the ground there. So it was very easy for us to have those people go and visit the communities that were very deeply affected, very quickly respond. By Thursday, Friday, we were already delivering supplies. So we had already gotten supplies down to these communities. And our first volunteers arrive this Sunday. By this time, we've already demolished the first house that we're going to be working on, and I'll tell you a little bit about that house and about that particular family. But the incredible thing is that this house we're going to start building it on Monday. So we don't want to wait. And we're in it for the long haul. We're in it for the long haul. We want to be there for all of these families. We are taking it one family at a time. We are not building a one-size-fits-all solution. We've decided that, first of all, it's very important to us that we preserve cultural identity within these towns, that we respect human dignity, and of course that we have community buy-in. So a big part of our project is to go and speak to these families and talk about their needs, their solutions. What part can be salvaged from these houses? Is there a part that can be salvaged from these houses? Maybe not. How many kids do they have? What kind of solutions do they actually need? And that's in terms of not just the size or the type of house that they're going to get, but also in terms of materials and in terms of the construction system that we end up using. We're also incorporating a lot of modernized ecological and sustainable solutions, like the bottle LED projects that I'm sure you guys have seen in the past that don't require for them to spend money on power, and that they light up a room, that water collection system so that they can water their own crops. We're including water heaters that are with solar solutions. So we're doing a lot of these things in order to improve what was already there. Obviously, we can't deny that it is 2017, and there's technology that could really, really improve lives. There's also an education-based part in the project, which means that people that are recipients will also receive and participate in classes and different activities to teach them to be a person that can implement these solutions, so that then they can do it as a job. They can build these eco blocks that we're going to use. They can make them themselves, and then they can be a person that provides that. There's a shortage of labor in the area. So if they can become that labor and get paid for it, it's an incredible thing. It's much more than just a house. It's a way of life. It's an improvement in their quality of life, and that's what we're trying to achieve, really. I don't know if you guys have I covered? I don't know if I've covered everything. I don't know if you have any questions, or I mean, I'm sure that there's tons of questions, but happy to answer them.
Maybe it'd be good to hear a little bit about the family that we're going to be, the first family at least.
Yes, so we've already got enough funds for 5 houses. I did talk to Tracy yesterday about this because, so obviously, I can't really tell you exactly which family your $10,000 will go to, because I don't want them to wait. We have a list, and as money comes in, that we have a list of priorities. We're choosing people based on their family situation. This particular first family, she's a single mom. She has 4 children, and under the age of 11, all of them. And so we thought, hey, and they don't have a place to live. Their house was completely uninhabitable. So they do have temporary shelter, but they cannot go back. There's just nowhere for them to sleep. And they're, like I said, they have temporary shelter. So, but it's dangerous for them to be in their house. So that house has already been completely demolished. And we will start the work on it on Monday. There's a list, but my hope is what I can do is, once we do have like I said, there's a list of people that we're going to, but when your $10,000 is deposited, we can then come back and tell you, these families are who you helped. We do have that level of knowing exactly who your money went to. It's not just, it went to 2 random people. It went to this family. So as money is coming in, and it's coming in from very different sources, like I said, we're set up as a nonprofit in the US and Canada, but we're also, there's also help from within Mexico that is helping this project, because again, we don't want it to be dependent solely on our volunteers or our funds. We want it to be a continuous effort. So, and it is. So that's the way it's going about now. We are taking it one, even though we have the funding for the five already kind of pipelined, we're taking it one at a time, because we want to make sure that the right solutions are achieved. And of course, we also need the manpower, and there's a problem with manpower. So right now, there's still a lot of local volunteers that are coming. Like I said, some of our volunteers are going down there, but it's harder for people to plan, like, hey, I'm going to go to Mexico this week. I did have that. There's people that are going Sunday that called me last week. They were set up to go somewhere else, and they said, I'm sorry, I can't. We canceled our trip to Peru. We want to go to Mexico and help there instead, which is fantastic. But I don't want to, we can't, because there's not paid labor available. There's so many people that are paid labor that are being pulled into so many different places. So we have the capability of doing one house at a time. That's what we're going to do right now. And that's kind of where it's going. For now, 5 families.
Shanti, can you tell them why you've chosen the area that you have?
Yes. So our original program was set up in Morelos, and we already had the deep connections with that community. Our coordinators who are on the ground and who live there and are members of the community know the community very, very well. And so it's not just someone that, we randomly they know the members of the community personally, because they themselves go and volunteer there in different organic projects because there's a lot of agricultural stuff that is done there as well. So they go and help in those agricultural projects that are already going on in the area. We had the Tepoztlan Park project that was going on, and while parks are amazing and wonderful, it's obviously a bigger need to have a home. So we just decided it's really a no-brainer. Let's just, build houses instead. And as long as we are needed, and as long as houses are needed, that is the point. There is a long-term plan, though, because this particular community, we have 5 towns that we're working with, because we have identified recipients, and like I said, we have a census and we have a list of recipients. Luckily, we're not the only organization currently helping. Usually when something like this happens, and it's terrible and it's very sad, but it is true, there's a surge of help in the beginning, kind of like when someone passes away. Everybody shows up for the funeral, and then everybody goes home. That's kind of how it is in any type of tragedy like this. So that's why for us, it's important to stay in it for the long haul. And I don't know how many organizations are and I don't know how many groups of volunteers are going to continue to come to these communities. So as opposed to going to Mexico City, where yes, Mexico City is on the news, whenever you saw anything about the earthquake, it was always Mexico City. And the reason for that is, first of all, everybody knows Mexico City. No one knows Hueyapan, Morelos. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's a lot more impressive to show on the news that, it's a humongous building. And of course there were that school where there were children involved, and it's just more dramatic. However, Mexico City in itself does have the financial capability to rebuild itself. Mexico City is going to rebuild itself. These towns, before the earthquake, they needed help. So that's what we need to do, is help the most needy communities. And it was very easy for us, like I said, to stay within the state of Morelos because our program was already there. Our coordinators already have those relationships. They've identified the recipients. That's why we're there. We're there. That's the reason.
Hi, can you just speak a little bit to the volunteers?
Sure.
Because, just in terms of who they would contact, what would be involved, what the commitment is.
Okay, so the commitment is 1 week. We do 1 week short-term volunteer programs. We have dates all year. You could go next week if you wanted to. So the way it works is you go on our website, and like I said, that was our regular program anyway. So the way it works is very easy. You go on our website, you fill out a form, and you go. We give you orientation materials that show you where you're going to be, where you're going to stay. And so we arrange a modest hotel, all of your meals. This particular location has incredible food because, as you know, Mexico has fantastic food. But we're lucky enough that one of our members of the Globe Aware team also owns, and you may see it if you're following our Facebook page, which I hope all of you after this do. We have 315,000 Facebook followers, and this is all over the world. But of course, we'd love to have you as well. But if you follow that, we're posting about the campaign constantly because that's what we're working on right now. Apart from the other 16 projects that seem to that I have not forgotten about. I promise. There's the other 16 projects as well. But this one is the one that I'm not sleeping for, and it's okay. But that being said, that when you go in, you register, you fill out a form. It's very simple, and we'll give you all of the materials that show and there's a sample itinerary on there. I want to say the website for the volunteer program has not been fully updated to show that the project is going to be reconstruction, obviously because things are happening faster than I can manage. and for me to download all the information. Like, for example, the details on the family, I literally knew them yesterday. I learned all of this yesterday, and I was able to talk to Tracy about it yesterday, but I had only known for a couple of hours when I talked to her. It's like, okay, this is the house we're going to do. Okay, we've decided. All right. Okay, great. But, you know, obviously all of this is going really, really quickly, which is great, but it's also, it takes a little while for the web guy to move, I guess. I don't know. He's not as quick as we are. But it will be updated. So basically our campaign shows 3 things that you can do. And that's the For Mexico overall campaign. You want to help Mexico, there's 3 things that you can do. The first one is to donate, direct donation. The second one, we're calling it events. And events is groups, organization, businesses like you guys that have come together and have decided as a group to do something for the fund or that benefits the fund. So it's everything from a group of ladies who decided to hold a Zumbathon, and they have 400 people going, and they're charging $20 a head, and so they're raising $8,000 in one day. Great. There's another group of people that decided, oh, well, we want to donate all of our online sales for a week. There's a lot of different, there's others that are matching, there's different things. The third one is to volunteer, and that's what you asked about. That's our regular program. It's a volunteer program it's a short-term volunteer program for 1 week. You go, there's a certain itinerary that we'll follow. Our accommodations, so if you go into our website, our accommodations, food, all of that was not affected. So you would stay in the same place. It's a modest hotel, and our coordinators, the local coordinators, will arrange your projects for you and make sure that all the materials are there, that you're taken to safely back and forth to your project, to your hotel. Your meals are all arranged for you. You get picked up at the airport, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry.
So the cost to us, is that also outlined?
Yes, there is a cost involved with it, and yes, that is outlined on there. Okay. And so it's available on the website. I don't know what off the top of my head.
Airport to fly into and everything like that will be on there?
Excuse me?
What airport to fly into? And
yes, Mexico City. You would fly into Mexico City. Yeah, all of that. And that's, again, a tax-deductible contribution as well. Okay. And I don't know if you know that or not, but when you travel with the main purpose of volunteering or participating with a reputable 501c3 registered public charity, only if you do it that way, your airfare is also tax-deductible as a charitable contribution. So it's it's not the reason to do it, obviously, but quite a nice little perk to have when you're doing your taxes next year, because it's a big chunk of money. Any other wonderful questions? And also, we don't have a minimum number of people to volunteer. You can come by yourself. You don't need to have a bunch of people, we do have groups that decide to come in a group, which would be great if you want to come with your family. We don't have age requirements either. We do believe that anyone, the biggest asset that you bring to the table is your desire to help. So you want to help, we'll put you to work. Obviously, we adapt the work to whoever's coming. I'm not going to give a power tool to a child. I would never do that. But there are things that we always adapt it to. So we have a very detailed process of how we tell our coordinators, hey, this is who you're going to get. So you should choose a project that fits this group of people. Anyone else?
I love how Shanti was saying that they were doing a Zumba class and they were raising money right away. I mean, that just opens up our scope as NuCerity distributors, that if you wanted to do something local in your area as well as this global NuCerity charity thing. Pickleball, here we go.
Yeah. And I mean, if you know anyone that would like to help, because that's another thing. It's like there's a lot of people that want to help and that are not NuCerity distributors. And I mean, it's always good to have that as well, because we do have a lot of people that have asked me the day it happened, hey, do you know a reputable way that I can help? And I was very distraught, like personally, obviously, and I was like, sure. And this is crazy because I've been working here for 6 years. It's like, really? But of course, yes, that is a reputable way of just helping. If you just want to help, you don't necessarily have to be a NuCerity distributor, and you have your own company, like maybe, you have a restaurant and you want to do an event in your restaurant that night that benefits this. Great, sure, and we'll help you develop the posts. Like I said, we do have $315,000, not dollars, followers on Facebook. I wish we had $315,000 for this project. Would be great. Hopefully we get there. But we do have a ton of followers on Facebook, Instagram, all over. So we're being really, obviously, very generous with thanking the people that are being super generous with our fund and helping our recipients. So we'll do everything. And we went through this today with our designer pitching in and stuff like that. So we do have the resources. A lot of people I'm very lucky that our team is fantastic. There's actually someone on this Zoom who is a NuCerity distributor, but has helped because as a volunteer, she's gone on one of our programs. And I don't want to call her out unless she says it's okay, and unless she's comfortable saying something, because I didn't ask her before. So I don't know if she's even listening to me. But anyway, I would love if she would talk about her experience just as a volunteer. Okay, well, maybe not. Let's see. Anyone else has a question? No.
Shanti, you covered all the notes that you gave me last night.
Yes.
So that's brilliant. And yes, so guys, so that we honor everybody's time, if there is some questions, feel free. Otherwise, we'll say goodnight and let this recording get out to everybody else.
And get to work.
So last chance to ask questions, or if that volunteer wants to share anything.
Okay, she said she is because she's texting me. I'm not sure. She can't show video, but she can maybe talk, maybe audio. Mel, can you talk? She says she's gonna kill me too, so that's nice. Thanks. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, do it after we get the $10,000 worth of funding.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So I think I will be going. So I was telling Tracy last night, I was already overworked before this happened. We have a humongous project in Romania that we're doing for people with special needs, intellectual disabilities, and we're building a residential center for them. So I'll be in Romania for a month. There are people in my office who are still going to be helping, and I'm still available via email, text, whatever. But I was preparing for that, and then the earthquake happened. So I can't quite pick up and go to Mexico right now because I'm already committed to go to Romania. But I will be going in early December. So if anyone wants to join me, you are more than welcome to join that program. I'd love to meet you in person. Tessa, there you are.
You just went mute, Shanti.
I went mute?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh.
Don't know why that would be, unless it's on Tessa's end. Oh, there she is. Tessa?
Tessa?
Can you hear
me now? Can you hear me? It shows open.
I can hear you perfectly.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I think everybody can hear me. Tracy, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. Sorry, it was us.
Okay, sorry about that. Mel, oh hey, I see someone who participated on a program, and it's not Mel.
No.
Okay, well, she can tell you about the project in Tepoztlan.
Yes, I'm part of the, well, venture. Well, I've got Globe Aware. Sorry, I'm just sat here, and it's a great organization. The community, when you see it firsthand, the improvements you can do, how you can help people, how people are really wishing that somebody tells them how, explains them, and get them involved in any project. Especially now that Mexico it's going through all this, there's many people in need. So as Shanti said, we needed help before the earthquake, no? So now they're desperate. And what she's doing, what the organization is doing, it's a great job that does make a difference. And people all around, she helps people all around the world, no? I'm going with her to Romania, and I'm really excited. And it's really a very nice opportunity to help out, no? You can trust the organization. They're really detailed in everything, no, and all the logistics and everything that needs to be done and how it has to be done. So you're in great hands. She's a great.
Thank you.
She does great her job.
Thank you. Federica's also a NuCerity distributor, just so you guys know.
Yes.
She's an emerald.
I'm an emerald, and I'm a Mexican, and my heart is with all my people. So I'm glad to help and glad to be involved and help out any way I can. Of course, I'm going to be volunteering. What?
She's a great person.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Tessa. So any doubt you have, anything you need to know, contact Shanti or Tessa or myself. We'll be glad to answer and to help you out any doubt you have. Okay.
So I also kind of wanted to touch on the stories that are behind this. I mean, all of us, you know, we know there's people behind all this. The communities that we were working on, the family that I know you asked about earlier, there's and I'll share, I think I shared it with you on that photo with the Band-Aid. I mean, that's the kid that asked his mom, like, when can I go back home? These are children. There's people there. There's people in one particular town where the town was pretty much devastated. And there were people inside homes sitting and this was on the second day. And I had my coordinators calling me crying because they couldn't take it. It was so hard. And it is a very hard thing to see, obviously, the immediate devastation. But the bigger thing was that there were people sitting inside houses with, you know, that were basically rubble. They were hurt. And even though they knew that there was a medical brigade a block away or 2 blocks away, they couldn't physically get there because they were scared to leave the 3 things that they still had left. It's that bad. It is a very dire situation right now. So even though obviously this type of tragedy does show you that things like that happen, it also brings us a lot. I've never seen in my entire 40 years of life the amount of, and of course I remember 85 and I felt 85 because I was there. I didn't quite grasp it. I was too young. But the way that I've seen the people respond to this, it does also bring out the best in people, because you've seen people come out of the woodworks to help with the best, their hearts in their hands, and people doing what they can to help. So obviously and hopefully this type of situation, and that's what we do when we volunteer. A lot of times, and that's the best compliment that anyone can give me, I get calls from my volunteers that say, I think I got more out of it than I gave. Because the experience of living and being immersed in a culture that is not your own, but living it with the beauties and challenges of that culture, and working on a project that's side by side as an equal with someone from that culture, is really eye-opening. It really changes you as a person, but it also creates a level of compassion that you then come back with and you continue to do more for your community. So again, it's sustainable help. We continue to do more. So that's why we want kids to come. We want kids to come to our program so that they have that in their, you know, I can only hope that my own children, and they've been on it, but that they have this level of compassion throughout their lives so that they can continue to help other people, whether there's an earthquake or not, just in their daily lives. That's kind of our goal as an organization, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So I think we've gone past the time that, and I don't want to take your time. I really am appreciative of any time that you have listening. If there's no more questions, or if there is, like I said, I'm happy to do another Zoom again. We can touch base next week after the house building starts. I'm happy to send you updates on how that's going and share with you how that is going, because in the past week, I don't think my head had I don't think I've felt myself spin so hard as I have in the past week. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a calmer week, honestly, but I know that things will continue to happen, and I'll do my best to keep you updated on our efforts. But if you have any questions or we can help out in any way, I did talk to Tracy about the possibility of doing more than one post so that you change it up a little bit. So I'll be sending you more materials and what you can say or do of how that's going, because that may help with your own fundraising. Okay.
Thank you, Shanti.
Thank you.
Great explanation. I feel confident going forward that we're launching tomorrow, and I think we're all going to go out there and rock this.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your generosity. Like I said, obviously as an organization, I'm very grateful. But as a Mexican, I'm incredibly grateful for your generosity. I really am. This means a lot to me. So thank you, really.
Thanks for giving us a portal to help out.
Yeah.
Happy to help. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys.
Awesome. I would like to say also, as Mexican, I just want to say thank you, because I was in Mexico when this earthquake hit, and I cannot tell you how sad it is to feel how people are going through all this loneliness and hopeless feeling. So coming from you, this initiative, it just opens my heart to show my community in Mexico that it is available to have your heart open to help others. So thank you. I'm about to cry, because
Don't cry.
It really shows us how wonderful this world is in terms of helping others. So thank you so much for reaching out for the Mexicans that are suffering so much, and these people that don't have any hope and don't have anything in front of them and in the future in some way. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Laurita, do you want to say something? Laura's in Mexico too.
Hello. No, it's just great to see everybody here. And Shanti, I really love this project. It is amazing. I even want to be a part of it sometime soon and take my whole family with me.
Yes.
I think there's a lot that we can do here, and it makes me very happy to see how the NuCerity family has reacted to being part of this. And I think we can do a lot of good with this. So thank you for sharing with us.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.